Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
If you've been following the, I guess you'd call it a soap opera, of the Toronto Maple Leafs search for playoff grit, you know this story.
Oh, yeah.
They've been on this years-long hunt for a very specific player. A rugged, hard-nosed, a genuinely playoff-built winger.
It's defined their strategy for, 3 seasons now?
Yeah.
And the consensus target, the guy who symbolized that missing piece more than anyone else, was always Mason Marchment.
Always. And for the longest time, the story we all told ourselves was pretty simple. The Leafs want him back, the fans want him back, so the only thing standing in the way had to be, cap space or timing or...
A trade price.
Yeah.
We all just assumed if the Leafs wanted it badly enough, it would happen.
Exactly. We thought the organization's will was the only thing that really mattered.
But then that whole narrative it completely collapsed.
It really did. When that critical piece of information dropped, citing Elliott for...
The confirmation?
Yeah.
The fact that Mason Marchment had Toronto on his partial no-trade list, his PNTC, that reframes the entire saga.
It totally changes it. It was never about the Leafs not paying the price. It was about the player actively blocking the move.
Right. And just to clarify for you listening, if you're not deep into contract mechanics, a partial no-trade clause is huge. It's real player power.
It's not a full veto, but it lets the player name a list of teams, maybe 5, maybe 10.
That they absolutely refused to be traded to.
Yeah.
And Marchment used that power, and Toronto was right there on his list.
It shifts the entire conversation, doesn't it?
Instantly. This isn't about salary cap gymnastics anymore. It's about player preference. It's about a veteran player taking control of his career and making a conscious choice about where he will not play.
Even if it's the team that gave him his start. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We have to go beyond the rumors and figure out why.
Why the team that developed him was a place he specifically restricted.
Because when you analyze that choice, you uncover some really critical and maybe painful truths about the power dynamic in the NHL today. It's the aha moment for anyone who wondered why this deal never got done.
Well, and it's fascinating because this isn't the decision made in a vacuum, right? It's rooted in years of history that the organization, and I think the fan base, is now having to really reckon with.
Let's start with the symbolism of it all. Because the desire for Mason Marchment, for this fan base, it's almost primal. He's not just a good player. He is the living, breathing embodiment of everything this team seems to lack come April.
That's a perfect way to put it. He's the antidote. He's a 6'4" winger who brings real size, but also skill. He has tenacity, but with actual scoring touch.
It's in the bite. The swagger. He's the guy who goes to the hard areas of the ice.
Yeah.
The net front, the corners, all the places the Leafs get pushed out of.
He scores the greasy goals you need in the playoffs, and maybe just as important, he drives opponents crazy. He gets under their skin until they just boil over.
So whenever the Leafs' lack of that physical edge becomes obvious, his name is the first one that comes up. Every single time.
That's what makes this sting so much more. The fact that he was originally their guy.
Yeah.
He was an undrafted free agent they found. They developed him. They gave him his first taste of the NHL. They literally cultivated that exact archetype.
Yeah.
And then they let him go.
That organizational pain point, it just runs so deep. Fans remember the day he was traded for Dennis Malgin. It's still one of the most hated trades of the last decade for this fan base.
It was a total organizational miss. You watch a player blossom into the exact thing you need right after you move him.
So learning about the PNTC now, it's not just about a failed trade. It's this almost poetic reminder of what could have been.
I remember when that Freeman report came out. I think every single Leafs fan who lived through the Malgin trade just felt a physical flinch.
Okay.
Because this news confirmed that rejection was personal, or at least it was historical.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see why the chase was so relentless. The organization knew what they'd lost. They tried over and over again to buy it back.
Right, and you can actually track that history. The persistence is pretty remarkable. They made, 3 clear major runs at getting him back over the last 3 years?
3 swings, 3 misses. First up, 2022 free agency. He chooses Dallas.
And right there, that was the first major signal. Maybe comfort and fit were more important to him than just the biggest contract offer.
Then they miss again this past summer. Seattle gets him, and everyone in Toronto is asking, why couldn't the Leafs make that happen?
And now we know the answer was probably already written into his contract.
And then the final attempt, just this past holiday roster freeze. The Leafs try again, they make a real push, and he ends up in Columbus instead.
The consistency of the chase just confirms how badly they needed him. But the consistency of the failure, it tells you the real problem was never the acquisition cost.
The real obstacle might have been built into the contract from the very beginning, which again forces you to ask that question. What happened to make him use that power against the team that gave him his start?
And that's where you have to shift to his perspective. What was Marchment thinking?
He's 30 now, final year of a big deal, 4 years, 18 million. He's an experienced pro. He knows what kind of environment he needs to succeed. This isn't a random decision.
Not at all. And you have to look back at the history, right? There was reporting years ago that Marchment, quote, wasn't thrilled with how he was handled in his early days with the Leafs.
But hold on, isn't that just part of being a prospect? I mean, every player in development has growing pains. You go to the minors, you get injured, your role changes. Is it possible these grievances are just, sour grapes over a trait that ended up being fantastic for his career?
That's a fair challenge. And that's why you have to dig a little deeper. The sense is that the problem wasn't just being traded. It was the whole process leading up to it.
Okay.
That time for him was defined by injuries, and maybe how those injuries were handled. It was defined by inconsistent ice time when he was healthy, long stretches in the AHL. And while every player does that feeling of trust and security, it matters.
So the idea is that players just don't forget how they're treated in those really formative years. If you feel like the team didn't have faith in you or maybe rushed you back, that can leave an impression that lasts longer than any nostalgia.
And that lack of comfort wasn't just emotional. You have to remember, he reportedly took less money to sign with Dallas as a free agent.
Right. That's a huge tell.
A massive one. It shows that the environment, the fit, it mattered more to him than just squeezing every last dollar out of the offer. He prioritized his working conditions over raw salary.
Which brings us directly to the financial angle, which Friedman really highlighted. When you look at where he signed his big contracts, Dallas, Seattle, Columbus, what do they all have in common?
A significantly lighter tax burden than Toronto.
It's a huge deal. You have to quantify it to really get it. Toronto is one of the heaviest tax environments in pro sports, period. If Marchment signs a, say, $5 million a year deal in Toronto, his combined tax rate can get close to 50%.
Now compare that to Dallas or Seattle, where there's no state income tax. That difference is hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. That's pure take-home pay.
And for a guy signing a big UFA contract at age 30, maximizing your net income is everything. So if Dallas set a pattern for him, prioritizing fit and net income, then the Leafs were always fighting an uphill battle. Toronto kind of fails on both of those fronts compared to the markets he chose.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for the Leafs now, strategically? The hard truth seems to be, that's it. The Marchment pursuit is dead. He's just not coming.
I think they have to accept that. Whether it's for personal reasons or philosophical or just pure finances, he's made it clear he wants to be elsewhere.
This whole thing is more than just a bad trade then. It's like a mirror being held up to the organization. It forces them to ask some really tough questions.
Very tough, self-reflective questions like, who's the next target? If Marchment is off the board for good, who becomes that big body winger they go after?
Or does this change the strategy entirely? Do they pivot to someone younger, cheaper, maybe more controllable, instead of chasing a UFA vet who already has a history with the team?
And I think the biggest question is about their development philosophy. How do you stop this from happening again? How do you avoid losing the next Marchment before he blossoms into the exact piece you're missing?